For the life of me, I just do not understand this current generation of kids these days. On one hand, now you have kids out here killing and robbing people. You got 5 and 6 year olds shooting their teacher in school. Half of these kids want to be little thugs and gangsters. And then on the other hand, these same kids are all overly emotional. They're sensitive. They can't handle bullying. They can't handle any adversity. And, it's just really weird to me because all of this kind of conflicts with each other. How are these kids walking around with their headphones on, listening to songs about murdering people? How are they going out here jumping people, beating up their teachers? And then at the same time, they want to be this overly emotional, sensitive, creatures that are all about focusing on how they feel inside. I don't know. It's weird because it seems as if, there was a push to get younger people more in touch with their emotions, but it seems to be having a different effect than what you would think. You would think that when people get more sensitive and more in touch with their emotions, that they would be less likely to be violent, but that's not the case. It seems that the more sensitive and the more emotional people become, the more violent they become as well. I was reading an article earlier today, and in the article they were talking about how so many young kids these days are battling depression. 9-year-olds are battling depression. And I read that article and I was just sitting here like, what? Depression? There was no such thing as being depressed when I was younger. You weren't allowed to be depressed. I mean, yeah, we had emotions, but you weren't sitting there dwelling on it all day like how kids are doing these days. And I had a rough time somewhat growing up. Don't get me wrong, I was provided with everything that I needed and a lot of what I wanted, but from the age of, from the time that I was in 5th grade to the time that I was in 10th grade, I watched my mother slowly die of pancreatic cancer. My summers weren't spent on vacations at amusement parks. My summers were spent at my mother's bedside and special hospitals across America, trying to figure out how they could save her life. That's how my childhood, or some of my childhood, was spent. But even in those moments, I never allowed myself to dwell on my emotions. I never allowed myself to fall into depression. I still maintained a positive outlook on life. And that's largely due to the fact that I was a kid. And I was still going through kid things, still experiencing kid things, still had the joy for life that kids should have. But in the modern age, there has been this push to make kids dwell on their emotions, but that's not what kids should be doing. Instead of being depressed or sitting here and dwelling on your feelings, go ride a freaking bike. Go pop a wheelie. Go outside and play freeze tag or something. Like, what in the hell? 7-year-olds are depressed now. When I was 7, we were running around the backyard playing hide and seek. It doesn't make sense, but this is the new age nonsense that's being pushed on these kids. And it's being pushed on these kids by adults who must have experienced some type of trauma. So now they're trying to push their trauma onto the upcoming generation. We got a lot of adults out here that are emotionally unstable, and because they're depressed and because they want to spend all day wallowing around in self-pity, they want kids to do the same. There's no reason why a lot of this stuff that's being taught to kids these days should be being taught to kids. Instead of sitting down and teaching kids about psychology when they're 8 years old, maybe you should teach them about George Washington. Maybe you should talk to them about the pyramids. Maybe do a little bit of times tables or something. You know what I mean? But it's just getting out of hand, because within the past week, I've seen multiple stories about young kids, and I mean young, 10, 11, 12, taking their own life. And listen, people can try to say what they want. They can try to create a false reality. 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds were not ending their own lives when I was 10, 11, and 12. Now, of course, you have your outliers. Maybe it did happen here and there, but it wasn't happening like that. You weren't waking up to the news every day, oh, another 10-year-old and another 11-year-old just took their life. That wasn't even a concept. That was not a thought in a child's mind back when I was growing up. 10, 11 years old, the thought of ending yourself, it was not even fathomable. It's not even something that would remotely pop into your head until now, because now we have all of these weirdos who are obviously going through their own things. Now they're pushing all of this stuff on kids. And it's a sad sight to see. And this whole push to be softer on kids and to be so in touch with your emotions, it has severely backfired. Because what's happening here is we're creating a bunch of overly emotional kids who act on their emotions instead of on logic. We're creating a bunch of kids who are now depressed. Now, instead of coloring, reading a book, riding a bike, they're sitting at home thinking about their feelings, thinking about all of the things they've been through. And that's not how a kid's mind is supposed to operate. And a lot of adult minds don't operate that way either, especially when you have things to do and you have things going for yourself. But a lot of people in current society have nothing to do. They have nothing going for themselves. So all they have is their mental health issues and their depressions, and they like to label their mental health issues on their social media platforms, and they wear them like a badge of honor, and then they take those mental health issues and they try to push them on to little unsuspecting kids who have no idea what any of this stuff is. But at the end of the day, it's just crazy, because as kids are getting crazier and more violent, they're also getting softer, and it just doesn't make sense. There should be no excuse as to why there's a mental health epidemic, not just within the adults in America, but now within children. But luckily, McDonald's has figured out a way to battle against this depression. McDonald's has figured out a way to, show support to little kids who are depressed and suffering from mental health issues. Now, when I was a kid, going to McDonald's was always fun, right? You would go to McDonald's, they would have cool Happy Meal toys that were tied to whatever big movie was in the movie theater at the time. So if you were going to see Pocahontas, you go to McDonald's or Burger King and they would have the Pocahontas toys. You want to go see Spy Kids, they got the Spy Kids toys at McDonald's. And then, of course, McDonald's also had the playgrounds. It was a wonderful, magical place. Even though the food was unhealthy, it was a fun experience. And getting Happy Meals was cool because you would get that red box. There would be that smile on it. Sometimes the boxes would be, branded towards whatever the Happy Meal toy was, but you get the point. The red box, the yellow arches, the smile. Well, because we are living in this day and age with these extremely emotional, soft kids who also like attacking people, because we're living in this day and age of kids who are super in touch with their emotions, they're super depressed in all of this, McDonald's decided that I don't know what they're getting at here. I don't know what the true point of this is, but McDonald's has removed the smile from their Happy Meals. And basically they're saying that the reason they're doing this is because not all kids are smiling. Some kids are sad and depressed. And we don't want to offend those soft kids who are battling with their emotions. We don't want to offend these depressed kids with a Happy Meal box with a smile on it. So we're going to take the smile off the Happy Meal box so we don't offend these weirdo kids who are all dark and depressed and sad. Isn't that weird? How does this make sense? How did we get here? How did we get to the point that kids these days have become so sensitive, so soft, so emotional that McDonald's feels like it's necessary to remove a smile from a Happy Meal so they don't offend all of the sad little depressed kids running around out here eating chicken nuggets? Oh, that 5-year-old looks like she's really sad. We need to sit down and talk to her about her emotions. Make sure you take the smile off of her Happy Meal. She doesn't need to see a smile. Now, in my mind, if you're depressed, the first thing you need is a smile. Maybe these kids are so sad because they need a smile on their Happy Meal box. Maybe it will be the only smile they see all day because their parents are depressed losers as well. And that's why they're depressed, right? Maybe they never get to see their them, they, father, mother, polygamy, whatever freaking non-binary, butt buddy parents. Maybe they never get to see them be happy because their parents are always sad, always depressed, always creating new pronouns. They go to McDonald's and that's the only joy they get in their life. But now we're going to take that smile away too. Because we got to make sure that the smile on the Happy Meal boxes does not offend little 6-year-olds who may be depressed. Now, if this is not the wildest, stupidest, most idiotic thing I've ever heard, then I don't know what to tell you. And listen, there's a lot of idiotic stuff out here. There's a lot of crazy, stupid stuff going on. We talk about it all the time. But this may take the cake. I don't know how they feel as if removing a smile from a Happy Meal box is going to stop 9-year-olds from unaliving themselves, but obviously McDonald's thinks that this is the answer to all of America's problems, or at least to all of the problems that little depressed 6-year-olds are facing these days. Some McDonald's locations are going to offer multiple Happy Meal boxes, so your kid can pick which Happy Meal box they want depending on what emotion they are feeling that day. Now, think about that. When you were 6 or 7, you probably didn't even pick what you were going to eat. But now, we're bringing kids into McDonald's and, oh, are you sad? Are you angry? Well, we're going to pick out the angry Happy Meal box. We are absolutely destroying and ruining these kids. And we wonder why the current generation is the way it is now. And if you think this is bad, just wait until the current generation is raising kids. And it's become clear. I think we have enough evidence now. We've watched this play out for a few years. This whole push to make people more in touch with their emotions, this whole push of placing all of these labels on people and kids, placing all of these, this is a mental health issue. Oh, you're suffering from this. Creating all of these new diagnoses so we can diagnose a kid with this. You're ADHD. You're autistic. You got this. You got that. You got this. You need to take this pill. You need to have a sad Happy Meal toy. It's so ridiculous. And it's not doing anything positive for our society. It's setting us back. There is a direct tie between this new push of trying to make people in touch with their sensitive emotions and the fact that everyone seems to be depressed and literally ending themselves these days. There's a direct connection. And once we, like I said, started prescribing all of these kids all types of medication to stop them from being kids. Oh, you're a little too hyperactive. Here, take this and be a zombie. You know what I mean? We're overly medicating these kids. Instead of allowing kids to be kids, we're trying to sit them down and force them to process their thoughts and emotions like adults. And the reason why these weirdos are doing that is because they want to treat these kids like adults, because ultimately what it's all about, as crazy as it sounds, even the sad faces on the Happy Meal boxes, what it's all about, what it all comes down to, is they want your kids. They want to do weird, sick things with your kids. That's what it all boils down to. They don't care about your kids' emotions. If they did, they would stop molesting them. You know what I mean? The same people who are pushing all of this stuff are always the same people getting caught. It's the groomers. So if you think that this new push to make sure kids are okay, let's make sure you're feeling okay. No, they want kids to start processing their feelings and emotions in a more adult-like manner, because they want society to start viewing kids in a more adult-like, so they're not viewed as being as creepy when they're doing weird things with kids. That's what it all boils down to. They want your kids to be overly emotional, sensitive, on the verge of ending themselves, so they are easier to take advantage of. And that is what is happening all around us. You can sit here, you can deny it, you can turn a blind eye towards it, you can think that I'm being over-exaggerating or being a conspiracy theorist. I honestly do not give a F what you all think, because I know that I'm speaking the truth. And we have witnessed this play out for the last few years now, and it's only going to get worse. But for now, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Let me know which emotion you're feeling on your Happy Meal down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and always remember to remain opinionated.